Hi, I'm Faith. I'm part of the KCL Humanitarian Mappers community. So at King's we regularly run Mapathons, or mapping marathons, where we help to put some of the world's most vulnerable places on the map. And we do this using simple tools that run in a web browser. At one of our recent Mapathon events, we had a series of pop-up talks from a range of experts, from NGOs to academics, explaining why we need this data and how we use it.
One of our research objectives is to think about how we can spatially model interacting hazard events. So if an earthquake happens and that causes a landslide, which areas of the city are going to be more affected than others? So we think about roads being washed out. If a road's washed out, how can we connect, how can we get services from one part of the city to another part of the city? To do that, we need information about the cities themselves. You may think, right, well, we've got maps of cities, no problem. Well, yes, we do in the developed world. In Africa, in Nairobi, for example, they're using maps that are decades old. These informal settlements being thrown up really quickly, they're just not on the map. So it's events like this that can really help.
I'm here this evening to talk about a recent review we did of missing maps and the impact that it's having in the field for MSF. So this is Kamrangicha in Dhaka in Bangladesh, where there are a lot of informal factories, and MSF knows that there's a lot of risks that the workers in these factories are facing, but how you work out who to talk to, where the different factories are, how to even start in an environment like this is really, really complicated. So in this context, Missing Maps stepped in, firstly through developing a base map remotely, and then working with the local mapping community to actually go around and map these different factories and map the tanneries. From this, MSF was able to do a really comprehensive survey, assessment of all the different factories, different hazards, different injury rates, and now has really well targeted activities that are accessible to this population.
So we've just seen a couple of examples from Bangladesh and Kenya, and now I'm going to explain an example from a small town in northern Malawi called Karonga. Karonga experiences a range of hazards, including earthquakes, floods and storms, and this is all against a backdrop of rapid and unplanned urbanisation. And this is what Karonga looked like in OpenStreetMap before we held a Mapathon. It looks fairly sparse in terms of buildings and roads. So we hosted a Mapathon at King's where we had about 40 people map for 4 hours or so. And this is what Karonga looked like after the Mapathon. We mapped around 29,000 buildings and 1,100 kilometres of roads, particularly kind of small tracks. And this really changes how we think about how Karonga is exposed to these natural hazards and how it is growing and changing. So we're using this data to think about risk to infrastructure from natural hazards. But the great thing is that anyone can use this data for anything, and particularly urban planners in Malawi can use this data. So if you'd like to learn more or get involved, visit our website at the link below, or you can start mapping right now.